with brand new CNN polling painting a picture of an electorate that is both divided and depressed ahead of this November's midterm elections. Let's get straight to CNN's political director, David Chalian, who's breaking it all down for us. David.
Yeah, Abby, we have these brand new CNN polling numbers conducted by SSRS looking at the midterm electorate. So let's start with that, what we call the generic congressional ballot. Look at these numbers. This is a tied race at the moment. 46% of voters in this poll say they prefer the Republican candidate in the midterm election, 46% Democrat. Now, I do want to caution here. This is a score that pollsters normally believe Democrats need to actually be ahead on if they are going to pick up seats. So a tie in this generic congressional ballot usually does benefit the Republicans here. This is not a number that Democrats see and say, oh, we're going to be fine in the midterms, but it does show a competitive contest, perhaps more competitive than the overall political environment would suggest. And take a look at it over time here. Back in January and February, Democrats were down at 43% in this. They were at 44% in April, May, down at 42%. They're now up to 46%. So Democrats have seen a little bit of a bump, perhaps coinciding with the Supreme Court overturning Roe versus Wade and that energizing some Democrats. As for the issues that are driving this race, Abby, the economy is issue number one. 51% of Americans in this poll say they want to hear from congressional candidates about the economy. But look when you split by party. Overwhelmingly on the Republican side, 71% say they want to hear candidates talk about the economy and the inflation. Nothing else really even breaks double digits, okay? Now look at the Democratic side. It's more of a smorgasbord of topics that Democratic voters are looking to hear from congressional candidates on. Yes, economy, inflation still up on top, 32%. Gun policy, 23%. Voting in elections, 15%. Abortion down at 10%. So this is still an electorate that is looking to hear about the economy, but overwhelmingly for Republicans, more of a mix for Democrats. And the other thing we look for is who has the edge on enthusiasm? Because it's one thing to look at registered voters. It's another thing, who's going to show up? And one of the ways we explore that is to see who's more enthusiastic about voting. Look at these numbers here. The Republicans have a 7-point advantage over the Democrats in terms of being extremely enthusiastic to vote. 35% of Republicans say so, 28% of Democrats. You see that that has been an advantage in all of the polling this year for Republicans, and you see how it ticks up as the year goes on. More and more people are getting enthusiastic about voting. But again, this is a significant advantage, 7 percentage points here, for the Republicans on that score.
And there's so much to break down in all of that. Here to share the reporting and insights, White House reporter and of the Associated Press, Sungmin Kim, NPR's host of Weekend Edition Sunday. And up first, Aisha Roscoe and Early 202 co-author at The Washington Post, Leanne Caldwell. That generic ballot, I really can't get out of my head, in part because of what David showed us, how it's changed over time. But we are in a basically head-to-head battle between Democrats and Republicans. This election, the environment seems to be so favorable to the Republican Party. Inflation is high. People's economic sentiments are incredibly low. There's a feeling of unsettledness in the electorate, and yet this looks like it's going to be a fight.
Yeah, and especially with President Biden's low poll numbers, and still Democrats were tied with Republicans in the generic ballot. And that's what was so surprising to me. But digging deeper into the polls, David, as you've laid out, that people are frustrated with government. They're frustrated with both parties. They want the economy to get better, and they don't have a very optimistic view of the future. But the fact that Democrats are tied with Republicans in this generic ballot is very good news for Democrats who have been very concerned about the midterm elections.
And I would just note to this point about the president's numbers being down, but being tied. What is so interesting when you look in our poll is that 19% of people who say they disapprove of the job President Biden is doing, they're still voting for a Democrat on the generic congressional ballot. So that is the mission for this White House and this party, is to take people who are expressing all this dissatisfaction with Biden's leadership and performance at the moment because of the economy, what have you, and still actually have them cast a ballot for the Democrats. At 1 in 5 disapprovers of Biden are doing that in this poll.
Yeah, I mean, this is what is so fascinating about this environment, is that this is, by all accounts, the Republican Party's race to lose, with the president at 38%. And yet you see voters kind of basically saying, we see both parties kind of along the same lines. One thing that I thought was interesting, we have a part of the poll here that asks whether candidates have in their area have their priorities at the top of their mind. And basically, voters say the Democratic candidates, 67% no, 65% say no about Republicans. They don't like any of these people.
Well, and it kind of makes sense. I mean, you can't really blame people. I mean, when you look at the economy, the big issue is inflation. What can the government really do about that? And the fact is, there's not much that they can do on either party. The Republicans don't have a plan to fix inflation. They are benefiting from being able to just call out the problems, but they don't have a solution to fix it. And really, I mean, and there is a bigger problem for democracy here, and that people do not feel like the government is answering their needs. And when you look at Congress and you look at how things get stalled and how Congress is unable to do the big things, you can't really argue with people on that. They're not really handling the issues. Like, that's just a fact.
And yet, far and away, if you look at the polls, in the numbers in our poll and the numbers in a lot of other polls, the number one issue for voters is the economy. It is by far a bigger issue if you're a Republican-leaning voter, but it's still the top issue even for Democratic-leaning voters. And those voters also say, according to our poll, that they think 54% say Republicans would be better at handling economic issues compared to a lot of other issues. So that is still a problem for President Biden and the Democrats to solve for.
You've seen actually a pretty aggressive messaging coming from the White House over the last few days, trying to, first of all, remind the public that at least for the last several weeks that gas prices have gone down dramatically. Now, we don't know whether they are dropping and here to stay or not, but really trying to be out there and telling that things, you know, we hear you, things are tough right now, but on this front, gas prices, at least for now, are improving. And here are all the other things that we're doing to try to improve the economic situation for voters. But because they do know that this is their biggest liability heading into the midterms this fall, and just we're talking about the issues now, what I found really interesting, what else from that CNN poll was that while obviously the economy and inflation took the top billing for what is important to voters, abortion was actually a little bit lower on the list that I thought would happen. Considering
even for Democrats.
Even for
It was
Democrats.
not rating for Republicans very much, but for Democrats it was pretty low.
Right.
On that point, though, take a look at this. Asked about whether the party's views on abortion are too extreme or mainstream, voters overwhelmingly say the Democrats are in the mainstream and that Republicans are too extreme on the issue of abortion. So, David Chalian, what does that say to you?
Well, it says, I think it explains why we're seeing a lot of Democratic candidates leaning into this issue of a woman's right to choose and privacy rights and all the aftermath of the decision that came down from the Supreme Court overturning Roe v. Wade as a principal part of their campaign messaging. Because of all the issues we tested, Abby, it's only that issue that a majority see one of the parties as too extreme. In this case on abortion, 55%, as you showed, say the Republicans are too extreme on this issue. That's the only one that scores that way as a majority of Americans respond, looking at the parties on all the given issues we tested.
And that's why you see Democrats on Capitol Hill holding votes this week and trying to hold votes last week on some of these issues to paint Republicans as extreme. They're going to vote on access to contraception. They're also going to vote on a same-sex marriage codification bill today. It might get the support of some Republicans, but they do want to put Republicans on the record on where they stand on these issues and try to paint some of these Republicans as extreme.
Which is such an odd thing to see Democrats leaning into cultural issues and forcing votes.
And this election may not, it may not turn on cultural issues, but it seems based on this poll that there is a brand problem for the Republican Party right now that they have to deal with.